Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002 lecture series by Dr. Sanket Charkha. You can listen here. How to earn the bad money. So the various sources for earning the bad money for an individual is either through the smuggling, abducting, kidnapping, gambling, fraud, prostitution, drug trafficking, and committing any other crime. So these are the various sources or the options for earning a bad money to an individual. So in order to convert your bad money into good money, you undertake a certain policy, and in this particular concern, you convert your money of your black money to the white money, and in this case, it is called as an money laundering. The applicant within a short period surrenders the policy and requests the returns of the cash value. Converting bad into good, launderer deposits bad money into the bank, and bank in turn provides the same money as loan. So in this way, the loan back scheme first that it was used as a money laundering scheme or a money laundering technique. Introduction of the Money Laundering Act, that is 2005, that is it came into force with effect from 1st of July 2005, and it extends to the whole of India. The Money Laundering Act intends to fight against all sorts of economic crimes or the white-collar offences that have been conducted in this country. It aims at combating canalization of money into illegal activities, which provides for attachment and seizure of property and records. The stringent punishment, that is rigorous imprisonment up to rupees 10 years, or up to sorry, the stringent punishments with respect to rigorous imprisonment up to 10 years and a fine of up to rupees 5 lakhs, which is being imposed under the Money Laundering Act of 2005. So here, the various salient features with respect to the Money Laundering Act you can see in this particular slide. Punishment, rigorous imprisonment from 3 to 7 years and a fine of rupees 5 lakhs, and above no upper limit. Since 2012 it has been imposed. Attachment of the tainted property. The tainted property may be attached provisionally for the period of 90 days, and further on, if it is required, the court can provide a certain action or guidelines to extend the deadline. Adjudicating authority, it decides the property attached whether it is or it is not involved in the money laundering and is appointed by the central government. Appellate authority, in terms of the Money Laundering Act of 2005, appeal against the adjudicating authority. Yeah, next appeal you have to file to the High Court and then to the Supreme Court of India. So this is the appellate authorities in Money Laundering Act of 2005. Special courts, in this particular case, the particular case or the particular trial is being run and the offences under this act, and special courts are also having rights to conduct or undertake these crimes or the offences. Now, let's look at the various keywords which have been adopted or which have been used in the Money Laundering Act of 2005. Section 3, money laundering means attempting to indulge or assist other person or actually involved in any activity which is connected with the proceeds of crime and projecting it as an untainted property. So the various participants are the indulger, that is the laundromats, the assisting, the laundromats, the committing, the launderer, and placing, leveraging, and integrating, that again the laundromats. So in this way, there are various participants and one who is an attempter who is giving an attempt to create this offense. So in this way, there are various participants for the Money Laundering Act of 2005. The various keywords with respect to the Money Laundering Act, the subject matter of our study in this process is which is a particular activity which is completely forbidden by law. Forbidden by law in the sense it is not permissible by law to conduct such activities. Now, understanding the term laundering. To discuss the source or nature by channeling through an intermediate agent, which is also called as a dirty money or the clean money. So, method of laundering is very complex and sophisticated, wherein you convert your black money to the white money with the source of bank or any of the other business sources that is into existence. Going further, the keywords of the second, that is which is provided in section 2 subsection 1 of financial institution. The financial institution means a financial institution as defined in the clause C of section 45(1) of the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, and includes a cheat fund company, a cooperative bank, a housing finance institution, an authorized person, a payment system operator, and a non-banking financial company, that is NBFC. As per section 45(1)(c) of the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, the functions of the financial institution includes the financing, that is he has to make, or the institution has to see that the finance has made available to the particular vendor, and the acquisition of shares, stocks, bonds, debentures, or securities which have been issued by the central government or the state government or the local authority or other marketable securities of the likely nature. So in this way, the financial institution is a composite or a participant of the Money Laundering Act of 2005. Furthermore, the various activities which relates to the financial institutions are given in this particular slide. You can refer it with respect to the features and functions and the collecting functions that has been undertaken by the financial institution. Offenses of the cross-border implication. So at this particular point of time, any conduct by a person at a place outside India which constitutes an offense at that place and which would have constituted an offense specified in Part A or Part B or Part C of the schedule, it has been committed in India, and if such and such remits the proceeds of such conduct or part of thereof. So now, for example, in this particular case, you can see that any of the offense that has been conducted outside India, it also comes under the purview of Money Laundering Act of 2005. So whether the proceeds or whether the attempts or whether the offense has been done in the Indian boundaries or outside the Indian boundaries, the same is punishable in the Indian government origin. So here you can see that in this particular slide, the spread or the widespread or the coercion or the spread of the money laundering activities across the globe, wherein it has been marked with a black schedule or the black mark. Section 2, subsection 1, subsection 1N, intermediary. Intermediary means a stockbroker, sub-broker, share transfer agent, banker to an issue, trustee to a trustee, registrar to an issue, merchant banker, underwriter, portfolio manager, investment advisor, and any other intermediary who is associated with securities market and registered under Section 12 of the Securities Board and Exchange Board of India, that is SEBI Act of 1992, which is in the clause 15 of 1992. Intermediary thus includes the following persons. Now, who are the various persons who are included in the definition of intermediaries are the stockbroker, sub-broker, share transfer agent, banker to an issue, trustees to the trustee, registrar to issue, merchant bankers, underwriters, portfolio managers, investment advisors, depositories and depository participants, custodian of services, foreign institutional investors, credit rating agency, venture capital funds, collective investment schemes, including the mutual funds. So all these particular things are the participants of the Money Laundering Act of 2005. So in this way, there are various participants wherein you can see that they can conduct or they act as an intermediary for the money laundering of 2005. And as now, section 2, subsection 1, subsection S of the person defines that as per the Income Tax Act of 1956, the person includes an individual, an HUF, a company, a firm, an association of person, that is AOP, BOI, that is body of individual, and whether incorporated or not. And every artificial jurisdiction person or an agency can form or define a person, can be defined as a person in this act. Now, understanding the methods of laundering. So how the Money Laundering Act it has been conducted. So here you can see the valuation of this particular drug money, that is how money laundering works in the consent of smuggling. So you have a certain value of 30,000 drug money, and it gets below deposit amount into different banks. So whenever this particular amount has been deposited in different 5 banks in terms of rupees 6,000, $6,000, 6,000, 6,000, and day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, it gets transferred from one bank to another bank. And in this way, at ultimate level from the bank number 5, the account again balance remains as $30,000. So in this way, the money that has been earned with the help of smurfing or smuggling is transferred or converted from one mode to another mode. And in this way, in this concern, then it has been deposited in the bank account, and the multiple bank account transaction is smurfing. So if the amount of money gets transferred from one bank to another bank, and ultimately if the amount remains same, then this particular structuring or this particular positioning of transferring of amount is called as an smurfing. So launderers send their money through various offshore accounts in countries that allow anonymous banking. Now, the countries that have been included in smurfing are Bahamas, Bahrain, the Cayman Islands, the Hong Kong, Antilles, Panama, and Singapore. So in these particular countries or nations, the activities can be conducted throughout the banking, and there is no restriction on transferring the amount from one bank to another bank. So in this way, what happened? The amount gets transferred, and accordingly, the smurfing activity is being taken place. This was the role of the banks and the laundering agencies that is into existence. Now, going further with respect to alternatives to the banking system and laundering. So and there was another system called as an Hawala system, in which money is transferred via a network of Hawala brokers. So there are various brokers available at this particular point of time, and along with the money, he usually specifies something like a password. So it is a protected password protected site or a particular account wherein you place a certain sum of money, and it can be accessed only by a certain password which has been encrypted. So unless until the password it has been provided to a specified person, the amount cannot be recovered, or it cannot be either debited or credited. So this particular system was called as an Hawala system, and it also has given a certain boost to the laundering of money as a perspective. So here in the diagram, you can see it very clearly, that is, it gets transferred from one person to another person, that is person A and B. So again, two-way, that is a particular password encrypted is made, and again it has been transferred to M, again it gets transferred to Y, and so on. So the money keeps on circulating or rotating, and it gets transferred from one person to another person. Next, another mode for methods of laundering is in terms of shell companies. So these are the various fake companies that exist for no other reason than no money launder exists. They take in a dirty money as payment for supposed goods or services, but actually provide no goods or services. They simply create the appearance of legitimate transactions through fake invoices and balance sheets. So for conducting the just an account is being created and no transactions have been conducted from these particular companies. And in order to provide a certain feasibility or concern, these particular shell companies are being established or set off. The methods now next method is the investing in legitimate businesses. This method typically works in one of the two ways. That is, first way is the launderer can combine his dirty money with the company's clean revenues, and in this case, the company reports higher revenues from a legitimate business than it's really earning. So, a simultaneous or a parallel two businesses have been run, and one business is shown as a profit making, and other business is shown as a loss making. The second method is the launderer can in fact simply hide his dirty money in the company's legitimate bank accounts in the hopes that authorities won't compare the bank balances to the company's financial statements. So the amount is kept as a withhold in the particular bank account, and it has been assumed that the account will not be recovered, or it will not be checked by the respective authorities, and accordingly what happens, the amount is being withholded by a certain person. So in this way, we can see that the amount has been transferred from one bank to another bank, or it has been either withheld by a certain person for several number of times. Next perspective next let's see the other parameters of laundering. So non-cooperative countries and territories, that is NCCT. So non-cooperative countries and territories implies to countries or territories that may not be willing or accommodating to the recommendations drawn up by the different agencies to combat money laundering. As of June 2013, there are 14 countries which has placed as their level of NCCT. So in this way, there are various institutions who have the various countries who have come forward and decided about their role as an NCCT position or an NCCT, non-cooperative conditional territories. Process of money laundering, how does it takes place? First thing, an illicit activity, it has been identified. Now it may be in terms of your drug production or trafficking or other criminal activities. Then it gets converted into the placement, that is disposable bulk cash. Now in terms of cash, it can be in terms of the smuggling of bulk currency, mixing illicit proceeds with the legitimate depository amounts on the small denominations, and subdividing bank or commercial transactions. In terms of layering, it will be in terms of the disguised origin of the initial deposits through the multiple transfers or through the way of multiple transactions. And in terms of the integration, it can be used layered funding or purchase or clean or legitimate assets. The assets will be in terms of the monetary assets, the fixed assets, or the business assets. So in this way, the activities of the transactions get converted from one mode to another mode, and the money laundering activity is being undertaken by the different individuals or by the different peoples. Now, step one, placement. So already we have seen this particular concern. I've already explained or seen in detail. Step one, placement. Step two, layering. Step three, that is integration of assets and properties or the luxury goods. And the step four is with respect to the bank transactions. With respect to various sections, the particular illustration has been given for you. That is how a particular money is being transferred from one bank to another bank, and the value of the money remains same, whereas the currency or the transaction keeps on moving in one mode to another mode. The various definitions with respect to section 13, section 31 has been given for you. Now, the first concept, that is KYC, that is know your customer. So KYC is an acronym for the know your customer, a term used for customer identification process. It involves making reasonable efforts to determine true identity and beneficial ownerships of accounts, sources of funds, the nature of customer business, and so on. So in this way, the objective of KYC guideline is to prevent the banks being used intentionally or unintentionally by criminal elements of money laundering. So to get a clear and complete information of your customer, you need to have a certain position or a picture wherein the information with respect to his each and every perspective is been collected, and accordingly the information keeps on circulating or providing in the economic domain. The second part, is there any legal backing for the verifying identity of clients? Yes, Reserve Bank of India has issued the guidelines to the banks under Section 35A of the Banking Regulation Act of 1949 and Rule 7 of the Prevention of Money Laundering of 2005. Any contravention thereof or non-compliance shall attract penalties under the Banking Regulation Act. So at every point of time, they have to see that the identity of the client is quietly disclosed, and at every point of time, the identity is being maintained, and we have to see at a certain position that the information is available with the banks with respect to their clients and the customers. The procedure for the customer identification, there are various set procedures that have been provided, but this particular thing is not the purview of the current lecture, so let's skip this part. Schedules of offenses. So various offenses that have been available under the Money Laundering Act. You can see at this particular point of time, the offenses listed in the schedule to the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002 are schedule offenses in the term of Section 2Y of the Act. So various offenses are mentioned in that particular part. The schedule offenses are divided into two parts, that is Part A and Part C. The Part A offenses to the schedule have been listed in 28 paragraphs, and it comprises of the offenses under the IPC, that is Indian Penal Code, offenses under the narcotic drugs and the psychotropic substances, offenses under the Explosive Substances Act, and offenses under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, offenses under the Arms and Ammunition Act, offenses under the Wildlife Protection Act, offenses under the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, offenses under the Prevention of Corruption Act, offenses under the Explosive Act, and lastly offenses under the Antiquities and the Arts Treasurers Act, etc. The Part C deals with the cross-border crimes and is a vital step in tackling money laundering across the international boundaries, wherein we have seen that if the transaction has been conducted across the cross boundaries, that is from one country to another country, the money laundering activity has been taken between different nations. So at this particular point of time also, the schedule of offenses is mentioned in Schedule 6.
हेलो सर.
Yes.
सर मैं सीजल बात कर रही हूँ. सर एक्चुअली जो SCOE में DS का जो लेक्चर होने वाला था अभी 3 बजे.
हाँ राइट. ओह सो सॉरी, आई फॉरगॉट.
नहीं, इट्स ऑल राइट, बट सर उसमें ऐड ही नहीं हो रहा है. हम लोग कब से वेट कर रहे हैं बट ऐड ही नहीं हो रहा है.
ओके, मैं ये क्लोज करता हूँ, उधर सर से बात करता हूँ. ओके, थैंक यू.
ओके, थैंक यू.